This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, ready?
It's been good. It's definitely a different learning curve than what I'm used to at Alabama. You know, there's not as much time that we get on the field, you know, whereas we spend a lot more of our time watching film than really anything else. Not to say we don't get a lot of work out there, but it's more, you know, in your meeting rooms watching film.
Tua, what has been your impression of Chan Gailey's offense? And I guess what's the timetable do you think it is for a young player like yourself to learn it?
I think to answer that question, no matter what offense you're stepping into, it's always going to be a process of learning. And I think that's where I'm at. I'm still in the process of getting to understand Chan's offense. Now, from a perspective of, you know, personality with who Chan is and whatnot, I mean, Chan's phenomenal, really great guy, down to earth. You know, when it's time to work, he's out there, you know, we go to work, but you know, it's a very friendly environment with him and the other quarterbacks as well. So, yeah.
Hi, Tua. Nice jersey. I wanted to ask you about Dan Marino. Anything you can share about the time that you may have worked with Dan, some of the advice maybe he's given you, and if there was any kind of awe factor at first, or whether it was just two quarterbacks talking football?
Well, the first time I met Dan, I think Dan reached out to me after I got drafted, which was super awesome. That was cool. But the first day I got into the building, Chan was in our meeting, Dan was in our meeting, and got to talk to Dan. I mean, he's also a really down-to-earth guy. I mean, he's someone that you can just chat with. You know, for someone who pretty much is the, you know, talk of the town with Dan, you know, he's super humble. You know, he doesn't hold his head high or walk around here like he's the man. Wish he is, but I mean, he's super humble.
I know you just mentioned.
Pause here. All right. So first of all, Tua's going to be this guy that is close to perfect. You know, he's one of those people that's unlike most of us. And he's probably going to be, it's going to be very rare that he shows you flaws. And usually because he's one of those kids that just does things the right way. And that question was handled in a nice, classy fashion. I think a couple of weeks ago, we got into this conversation that I told you about kids, and that, you know, when kids haven't lived life, they come at you with all kinds of theories and things, and you look at them like you have no idea what you're talking about. You haven't lived life. You don't know what it's really like out there, and you try to, you know, educate kids, your son, your daughter, your cousin, your nephew, those kind of things, right? And so the problem with that statement from Tua is that there's nothing humble about Dan Marino. Okay? I'm sorry, but I've been around Dan, okay? I've covered Dan. I've talked to Dan behind the scenes. You can watch Dan on the field. There's nothing humble about him, okay? Nothing humble. He has way too much confidence in his ability to ever be humble, okay? Is he appreciative of your love for him and the way you guys are, you know, hold him in high regard? Of course. You know, there's no doubt. But there's a guy in Tua, a nice kid, a good kid, who barely knows Marino. Okay, because Marino is as cocky and confident as it exists. There's nothing humble about him. He's the guy that is going to talk smack. I mean, think about this. Bill, does Michael Jordan you think he's humble?
No.
You think Larry Bird is humble?
No.
You think LeBron James is humble?
No.
No such thing. No great player is humble. They're just not.
They're bowed up and larger than life.
Well, they have to be. You can't be great and be humble. It's almost impossible. I'm sure there's a couple of guys that have slipped through the cracks, but most of these guys, like Will Chamberlain, they're not humble. The late great Will Chamberlain. No, nobody's humble when you say you've had a conga line of women of 20,000 in your lifetime. Come on, man. There's no humble in greatness. Greatness knows they are great. That's the thing about greatness. So when he says humble, he might have used the wrong adjective to describe Dan Marino. But being around Dan Marino, there's nothing humble about him, okay? He's direct. He's brutally honest. He's confident. He's cocky. I mean, there's all kinds of things, okay? And he is appreciative. That he is. But humble? Nah. And again, just a great kid saying nice things about everybody, and especially about a guy that he barely knows. But Marino, humble. Go watch Tom Garfinkel was out in a golfing event with Marino. I showed you that trick, right? I showed you that video, right? The one of Marino hitting the ball straight up in the air. Without looking, he takes out his hat, and the ball drops in his hat. And when he's looking at the camera, he's looking at it with the bravado of, it's going to land in my hat, dude, because I do this all the time because I'm effing Dan Marino. You know what I mean?
Oh, and by the way, you can't do this.
Right? Yes. Right. So when I heard that yesterday, when I heard that press conference and I saw he's really humble, I'm like, you don't know Dan Marino, bro. There's nothing humble about Dan Marino. All right, let's continue with Tua addressing the media yesterday. Go ahead.
And Dan, and obviously Miami's a profile city. He's been the man here for a while. A lot of people are expecting you to be the next man here. How do you sort of look at that pressure, and are you ready for maybe all the expectations people are going to put on you?
I think for me, my focus right now is just trying to get into the playbook, literally trying to understand what we're doing offensively, and really just trying to build relationships with the guys on the team. I definitely believe that, Coach Flo, Chan, Robbie, all those guys that are going to be making their decisions, they're going to put the team in the best position they think is possible. So if that's me supporting someone or not, that's what it's going to be.
Now, let me tell you something. That is the perfect attitude on his part. You can't control this by dictating it in the media, by talking about it. You can only do it by getting it done in the classroom, getting it done on the practice field, and then it translating to a game-like situation. And that's how you're going to climb. And, of course, he knows he's expected to be the number one guy. But before he becomes that guy, he's got to dominate the playbook. And one of the things that I loved that he said is that I'm there developing relationships. And relationships are so important. It's really important to be able to connect with people that you work with. You know what I'm saying? And this is a kid, again, he's going to be unlike most of us, okay? I think somebody put, like, he reminds me of Russell Wilson 2.0. That's exactly what you're getting. It's the Cal Ripkens of the world that for 20-something years of watching him play baseball, you're like, how does that guy handle every situation perfectly? How is it that Tony Gwynn does this like this? You know what I mean? How is it that, and then, Tim Tebow, Russell Wilson, throughout time, there's always a couple of those dudes that it could be the ugliest situation out there, and yet they find a way of handling it. Walter Payton. I mean, Walter Payton after the Super Bowl should have been ripping Mike Ditka a new hole. And yet he never, it bothered him. Everybody knew deep down inside and all that he didn't get the ball for the touchdown. And yet he always handled everything with the utmost class. And there's just those dudes that are like that. And Tua is that guy. That's the beautiful part about it, folks. If he stays healthy, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a hell of a passer in this league. I have no doubt in my mind he can be a leader in this league. I have no doubt in my mind he can be a winner in this league. And why? Because he has a winner's attitude. He keeps a positive mindset. He knows it's important to have chemistry. And then he also knows it's important to be a great student of the game. And that's the first thing you say, hey, I got to get into my playbook. I got to know my playbook. I got to develop relationships because that's the foundation of becoming a great player. Understanding the people you play with, understanding what they like, what they don't like, and communicating with them. Because remember, when you're able to connect with people more than just on the field, when there's adversity, they're going to accept your leadership and your guidance a lot more because you're not talking to them in just moments of football. You're connecting with them in personal moments, behind the scenes, in the locker room, off the field, at the team hotel, family, all that kind of stuff. And when you're able to actually care about somebody else as a human being, when there is adversity, and there's going to be plenty in a football team, on a football game, in a football week, in a football month, in a football year, you got to have a good relationship with people. You got to have a bond and a trust with that person. And when you hear, that Josh Rosen is not nearly as sociable and all that, although that's changed for him too. He's become way more sociable as he led all the offseason, throwing sessions this year because Fitz was out. And so these are things that Josh has learned to become more of. This is something that comes naturally to Tua already as it is. And so this is foundational stuff, and it's really important stuff. It sounds, kind of under the radar, kind of innocent, and it all is. But fundamentally, it's really, really important. All right, go ahead, Bill.
Well, what's good, man? I'm liking the jersey.
Hey, thanks. I didn't know if you guys could actually see it, but
Hey, man, I wanted to ask you, a lot of people know about your faith and your toughness and how battle-tested you are. But in regards to your culture and where you come from with, being Samoan and obviously coming from Hawaii, how do you think that's helped shaped you and who you are? And, there's some proud, former Samoans, Hawaiians who played in the NFL and, for you to, maybe join that line.
Yeah, I think football definitely intertwines with the Samoan culture that I come from with my background, because in our culture, respect is the biggest thing. And in football, respect is almost demanded, from the head coach, from your OC. So it's one of those things where you grow up not knowing, how to talk back to an elder when they, talk to you about doing something. And you learn how to take advice. You learn how to eat, eat getting chewed. When you get chewed out, you learn how to eat it, is what I'm trying to say. And so I definitely think it's helped shape me to the person that I am as well, in that regards, with being respectful and whatnot.
Now, that all seems like logical stuff, doesn't it? But the one part of that statement that really got to me was that, I learned how to, you can chew me out and I'm just going to swallow it and move on or whatever. I'm paraphrasing. But in other words, I can handle the criticism. And let me tell you, in today's world, these young kids, boy, they are ultra sensitive, okay? They didn't grow up like my generation or older generations that your parents could tell you, what the hell you doing, moron? And then 5 minutes later, I love you and hug you, and you forgot all about it. And you don't care because you understood at that moment that was just a teaching moment that they're trying to wake you. They're not trying to hate. They're not trying to do anything. It's a moment that it was a heated moment. It's here today. It's gone in the next moment. Not for these millennials. Not for these Generation Zs. Oh, my God. You tell them something negative, and it sticks to them like it's forever. It's like you killed their dog or something, you know? And so to hear him, you know, and I believe that because a lot of the Samoans and people of kind of that type of generation or that type of culture, in other words, they are a tough-minded group. They are kind of old school in a way, still old school to this day is the way they run their culture. Because there's still some of those cultures left in this world that have kind of old school ways. You know what I'm saying? Here in this country, that's changed a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I like the thick-skinned approach that he has. You can't play for Nick Saban and not have thick skin, right? You got to be able to handle it. But then you wonder what the hell happened with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Because here's a guy that would not listen, is not disciplined enough to pay attention to his coaches, is not a team player, did not want to actually meet his team halfway. As we talked about yesterday, and if you read that story, in the middle of a drill that he's supposed to be at for strong safeties, he leaves it and he goes to go practice with the corners. And the coaches are like, what the hell is this guy doing? And that's because Minkah did not want to become a more complete player. He did not want to help out in other areas because that's how this defense runs. If Flo wants to keep you off balance, he has to have players that can keep you off balance. So he has to teach guys to play different positions so that way he can switch things up on people in the middle of a game. I know what he's trying to do, okay? Intelligent players, multifaceted players. Hey, man, I saw Don Shula for 30 years, okay? I know all about that. Don Shula had players that were multifaceted, and he used them when they were multifaceted so he could improve his team. Offensively, defensively, I saw that firsthand. It's not like anything Belichick's doing is brand new. He's just been better at consistency and development and the eye to figure out this guy does this and that guy can't do this. And that's why Blunt can play like a Pro Bowler for the Patriots and can't be a Pro Bowler anywhere else he goes. You know what I mean? And so that these are things that you got to give credit to the coach. But the player has to be able to meet you halfway. And Tua has the attitude that he wants to study, that he wants to get to learn the players, that he's there to support Fitz if he has to, support Rosen if he has to, or if he has to play, he'll play. He doesn't have the attitude like, I know it all, and I'm here to do it all, and you can't tell me, i.e. Minkah, what to do or how to do it. I know who I am. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. No. You got to let everybody else around you, your coaches, you have to trust them to know and understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. And if they want to explore in different ways to make you better or to make the team better by trying you out somewhere else, you do it. That's how I was raised. We were all raised like that. You know, anybody that's a little slightly younger, I would say, maybe no more than 45 and older, probably, or 40s. I doubt anybody in the 30s was growing up like us. I doubt it very much.
We walked around.
20s, I doubt it very much.
We walked around with one butt cheek because we got our asses chewed constantly.
Yes.
And you know what? The Polynesians, they're one of those groups that they look up to their elders and look to them to impart wisdom.
Right.
They really respect them.
Right. And so that attitude for me is really important because you just had to get rid of a guy that was too sensitive and wasn't a team player and wasn't willing to listen to his coaches, okay? Because his coaches had a team agenda. He had an individual agenda. Tua, you can tell, has a team agenda. All right, go ahead. Let's continue with Tua addressing the media yesterday.
But, yeah, that's what I could say.
Hey, Tua, what's going on, man? Obviously, you're wearing the Ryan Fitzpatrick jersey. We spoke to him about a week ago, and he talked about the growing relationship between the two of you and how he's trying to mentor you and bring you and the other quarterbacks along. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your relationship. Seems like things are going well if you're already sporting his jersey.
Yeah, 100%. I thought I could break ice making you guys laugh, wearing a Fitz jersey because, I mean, Fitz, he's he's very personable as well. But kind of to start it off with Fitz, I mean, very, very down-to-earth person, very humble. I've got to meet his family like about 2 days ago, and it was pretty funny because everyone, while we were on FaceTime, everyone's just scattered around the house. And so he introduces me to his kids, and then he introduces me to his wife, and he's like, "Yeah, this is it. This is everyone, and this is my family." And then, lo and behold, he forgets two of them, and so it's like, man, this man really has a family. He's really been in the league for so long, and to be behind him like a professional like that. To me, it's kind of mind-boggling how down-to-earth he is. It's one of those things where it's this guy gets it. I don't know what it is, but he gets it. And that saying goes true. It says, if you want to get somewhere fast, you go alone. But if you want to do it with purpose, you bring people with you. And I think Fitz has done a tremendous job in trying to help shape and mold me, and Josh as well. So it's been really cool to go through that process with him.
Now, the other thing, maturity. Maturity is part of awareness and understand. Remember, he talked about earlier relationships, right? So let me ask you something, Bill. When they ask him about the Fitz question, and he says, yeah, Fitz, this, that, and I love him and me and all that, and he's there and he's really looking after me. But he doesn't mention Josh. How do you think that would go over?
Like you're the overlooked man. You're the invisible guy in the room.
And it'll be selfish, too, self-centered, because it'll be Tua saying, yeah, he's looking over to me because Josh doesn't matter. I'm the future. He's not. Notice in that conversation how he included Josh. Okay? And that's because awareness, relationships, respect. Okay, even though we all know, every one of us, Tua is the guy, Tua is the future. You're not drafting a guy at number 5 overall and not wanting him to be your starter, okay? If Rosen doesn't become a starter, it doesn't become anything failed because you got a second-round pick and you made it 2 second-rounders and you got a free quarterback out of it for no money either. What they're paying him is a joke. So whether he hits or he doesn't, it doesn't end up becoming this incredible loss or anything like that. You tried to get a quarterback and it didn't work out. But what I love about Tua is he's not coming in to create problems and say, oh, I got drafted. I'm the man. Nobody else. I'm ready to take over for Fitz. Screw Rosen. Like Johnny Manziel would come in with the attitude of, I know everything. Yeah, Fitz is just a journeyman quarterback. And what, Josh? Oh, get out of here, bro. They drafted me. I'm the guy. So Johnny would not come in with that same attitude. You understand what I'm saying? So I want you to realize what you got here. You got a kid that just mentally gets it all, bro. He just gets it all. He may not know Marino, but he gets it all. Okay?
No wedges in the quarterback room.
No. You got good people. And Josh has grown himself, so it's actually pretty cool. Let's continue with Tua.
Tua, nice jersey. I've got a two-parter for you about your transition down to Miami. First question, real simple. Do you wear a mask when you're out in public these days?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not out ever, so I just stay home or go to the team hotel. But in those instances where I do have to be out in public, going to the hotel and whatnot, I do wear a mask. So I have my mask right here.
Hey, Tua, obviously we don't know.
Now, very important, when they asked him about the mask, notice how he goes, well, I'm glad you asked about that because he's also wants to send that message. You know what I mean? And that's pretty cool, too. And say, hey, look, I'm not going out either, and this is a kid that he get the beautiful part, ladies and gentlemen, it's not like the Seattle corner that just got kicked out because he was bringing an IG model into the hotel and the cameras, and they caught him, and so they kicked. That's the beauty about having Tua, man. You don't worry about the 2 a.m. call. You don't worry about I got arrested. The Johnny Manziel problems that come with that position at times, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to get it with that guy. But I'm glad that he wanted that mask question, because if you watch the video, he shows at the end the mask, and he goes, no, I got my mask right here. And so, again, awareness. Go ahead.
Yet when your NFL debut will happen. But are you hoping to be tackled before that game, whenever it is? And are you feeling are you totally over the pain and discomfort deal with the hip?
Yeah, well, I think to answer that question, honestly, you just never know until it actually happens. I won't know the feeling until I actually do get tackled. So it's almost like that trial and error kind of thing. You got to go out and do it in order to know if it does hurt or it doesn't. That's pretty much what I can say. But as far as how I feel right now, everything's going well.
All right. So the good thing is he feels well. The part of that question that didn't fly is he's never going to get tackled. He's not. You can't ask him, do you hope to get tackled before the games begin? They don't tackle quarterbacks ever in training camp or preseason. Practices, that is. So he will never find out how it feels to get tackled until if he gets there is no preseason, so until he gets into a game. Okay, any game-like situation, that's when he's going to first get tackled. So it was a question that you really, there's no reason to ask it, because he can't hope to get tackled, because Brian Flores would cut the player that would tackle him in practice. Okay? Like, basically, that's what you would do.
That's what's happened in the past.
Yes.
Anytime a guy has hit the guy with the colored jersey, he gets, you're bye. See ya. Here's the door.
Tua's going to have a red jersey, folks. There's no tackling going on. So that question really didn't need to be asked, because there's no way it could ever happen until a game. So that's when we'll all find out. And we're all going to be holding our breaths when he gets tackled for that first time and he gets up. And
get up.
And we're like, okay. And we're probably going to do it again the next time he gets tackled. And it's going to be a while until we kind of feel and we forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's not something that was going to fly anyway. It wasn't a question that really needed to be asked. Go ahead.
I guess what's your approach going into this season? We don't know how many games there are going to be, that will actually be played. How would you feel if you were ultimately unable to play the season, whether it's COVID related or, Flo wants to go with Fitzpatrick or Rosen?
Like I said, I think our coaches, I think they're gonna put the best 11 out there. Whether I'm in that lineup or not, I think they've done enough evaluation throughout the week, throughout the month and lead up to that game. So, in that regards, I know they're going to put the best out there. But to say if we didn't have a season, I mean, I don't think it would just be me that would be bummed. I think our whole team would be bummed, and other teams as well, that we don't get an opportunity to play. This is something a lot of people work for, and I mean, it's our job for sure, but it's also been a dream for a lot of us to get an opportunity like this, and for a lot of the undrafted guys to get an opportunity. That's going to mean something to them as well.
Hey, Tua, I'm curious. You were asked.
Notice how the question was about him if you don't get to play a season, and yet he talks about undrafted guys, the other teams, all his teammates, coaches, everybody works hard for this awareness, and he refuses it. He refuses to make it about him. The question was all about him because that's all that the reporter asked. A perfect question, because that's what you ask a guy like that, because you don't know if he's going to play or not, because as long as the Dolphins are winning with Fitz, they're going to keep riding Fitz. If you didn't learn that last year, you're not going to, you know what I mean? Then you're probably not wearing masks. Anyway, so I'm just saying, it's just one of those things. And yet this guy, it's about everything else. And rarely does he make it about himself. Go ahead.
Earlier a little bit about pressure, and that's something you've dealt with, obviously, in college, being in the spotlight and things. How do you deal with the spotlight now? You know, every Dolphin fan will watch this and say, hey, we can't wait to see Tua on the field playing in that Dolphins uniform. So how do you handle that, the pressure, the expectations that you're the guy for the future?
Yeah, I think the best way to handle it is really not pay attention to it. Kind of, if that makes sense. Not being someone who just says, oh, I don't like it, I don't care about it. I understand that it's there, but I just feel like the main focus is just being able to get into my playbook, being able to, like I said, build relationships with the guys on the team, and just focus on what we got to do inside of the building. I mean, just like almost every athlete has said, fans are good, and fans can be issues as well. So when we're doing good, we're all we got as a team. The fans are going to say whatever, that's all that outside noise. And really, we just got to pay attention to what we're trying to do and accomplish as a team, here in the Dolphins organization.
I'm kind of curious if you've really been able to grasp how different the NFL is from college football without having a preseason, without having a full training camp. Is there kind of anyone that's designated to teaching you the rules or figuring out kind of, hey, here's how we manage the clock here, or hey, here's how we do certain things to kind of get you adapted without seeing a real game yet?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Yeah, it's definitely going to be different not having a preseason game. Not to say we had one in college, but college is a lot different. We have school involved. There's just a lot of other things involved with that. But with the NFL not having preseasons and understanding game management in a real live scenario, what to do end of game, end of half, and whatnot. How we do that here is Flo gives us kind of daily situational awareness football during our team meetings. So we probably go over about 3 or 4 things as a team. How we want to go about running the clock out in this situation, how we want to do things in this situation, and that's really how we go about doing that. And then we would walk through it on the field and do things like that. So yeah, that's how we're going about that.
There you go. That is Tua yesterday addressing the media, and obviously that is going to be a challenge for him because he doesn't know any better because he hasn't had a preseason. But the preseason would have helped him out immensely. Training camp would have helped him out immensely. The NFL knows that they don't want to start hitting right now. Somebody was asking. You'll hear it in the Byron Jones interview. But there isn't a lot of hitting going on right now. There isn't any hitting going on right now. So this is a situation that doesn't really prepare quarterbacks to be set for week 1. That's why when you hear, when fans say, "Oh, he's got to start week 1," I get it. Fans are fans. They don't really think about everything. They're just talking about their excitement. But when I hear a former coach or player or current player say, oh, no, Tua's got to be there week 1. And it's like, there's no training camp. There's no preseason. When I hear people like Brian Billick, oh, no, he should be there week 1. It's like, dumbass. None of the linemen know where the hell they belong or if they're good enough to start. I mean, think about it. The only returning lineman is Jesse Davis. And can we all be honest? Huh? Because I know that I'm the only one that usually has the balls to actually be honest. I love Jesse Davis as my 6th lineman. Okay? Love Jesse Davis. 6th lineman. Use him at guard, use him at right tackle. You know what I mean? And now he's learning a little center. Okay, fine. Gardner. We've had other guys like that they've moved around and they played multiple positions. Let's be honest, right? Let's call it like we see it. Jesse Davis is a nice player, a serviceable player, but he's not the guy that I line up and I say, he's one of my 5 nasty guys. He's one of my 5 that I'm going to make a hell of a line. So if Jesse Davis is your only returning lineman and the other 80% of your line is absolutely brand new and never played together and they have yet to hit and the football season is less than a month away, how can your dumb ass start Tua in week 1? You can't, bro. You can't. Guy's not even a year removed from hip surgery. You're going to put him behind a line that's never played together, and that the first time they're actually, like, playing together is in a game? No training camp, no preseason, nothing? Just a couple of practices, and now you go right into the season? Are you kidding me? Does anybody know what the hell offensive line work is? And how difficult it is, and the timing and everything else? Are you out of your mind?
They're more affected because of the lack of They're the biggest hit. That is the one cohesive. Those 5 guys got to be wired together, thinking the same, man.
They needed preseason
and when your
more than Tua.
Yes.
They needed training camp and preseason way more than Tua.
And when your offensive line isn't together,
you're done.
You see it. It stands out big time.
You're done.
Every play.
You're done. That's why you're on dope, bro. You know, it's like I feel like I'm Mr. Hand in Fast Times on Richmond High. What are you all on, dope? I mean, come on.
We've been talking about the plot amendment for 3 weeks now.